Abimael Sawyer crouched alongside the creek, scowling. He knew that he had to get water for the house, and all the way out to the creek, he had been crunching through frozen grass, his frown deepening with every step, anticipating the sight he now beheld. It had been cold enough overnight to freeze the slow-moving creek, and now he had to clear ice from the surface before he could dip out enough for his father's morning tea and their gruel. He missed his mother's cooking almost more than anything else, though of course he would never say that aloud. He'd had to fill in where he could for the work she did around the house, while his father threw himself into his work with more fury than he had, even through the long months of his mother's final descent into weakness and death. At least she could rest in the little graveyard just beyond the boundaries of the village. As for those she left behind, there was always more work to do. With a resigned shake of his head, Abe crouched and used the bowl of the dipper to crack the ice. He tossed the shattered bits out onto the ground, watching them settle and begin melting as he waited for the mud to clear from the hole he'd made in the surface of the stream. When the water again ran clear, he lifted one dipper full after another up to fill the wooden pail. Its worn and loosened side seeped some of the water right back out again, but he knew from experience that once he had it filled up past the top end, he'd be able to get enough water back to the house to fill the kettle and stir into the pot with a precious handful of meal. Nearly every day started the same way, and by the time he got back, he knew that his father would be grumbling about how long it had taken him and chiding him to hurry, always hurry, so that the day of work could begin in earnest. Despite their family name, Abe's father worked not as a sawyer, but as a lumber cutter, selecting and felling the trees that were then sawn into boards and sent over to England for building the fine houses and warehouses of London and beyond. Cyrus Sawyer had managed only a few years past to persuade a surveyor to come out to his grant to mark which trees had to be kept for the king's navy, and which he could cut without further limitation,